In your most recent appearance on the Atheist Experience, you had a caller come in who wanted to ask you about being gay, and he actually asked, "You're gay, right?" To which you replied, "Do you remember?"
Oh, super gay.
Super gay. Yeah. I'm only mildly gay, unfortunately. I've only figured things out about myself in the last year. I haven't made it quite to super gay.
You see this shirt? This shirt I have on? I made this freaking shirt.
Nice.
Freaking rainbow shirt. It's awesome.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. What I need to do is like a thermometer shirt that at any given time will tell people how gay I've made it too. Like currently this gay. I used to be this, now I'm here. I will make it to super gay one day. I mean, I can only hope. But so they asked you about coming out as gay versus coming out as atheist. And you had actually said that coming out as atheist because of your family situation and everything ended up being more difficult. And actually, if you've had time since then I don't know if that call stuck out to you at all and you've thought about it more, but if you have any additional thoughts on it or want to talk about that for a moment, I thought that would be a really interesting conversation to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like I said on that show, I mean, when I came out as gay, it was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of thought that came behind it. It wasn't just this oops, like, oh, here it is, boom. It was, by that time, the internet, of course, was already in full function. I'm not that old.
Yeah.
And so you could see the stories of other people who had experiences that were not favorable, that, got cut off, things turned violent, people not speaking to one another or shunning, whatever you want to call it, being cut off financially, etc.
Right.
And so I remember during that time when I knew I was like, there was no mistake that I was gay. Like there was, I was thirsting after dudes in the freaking gymnasium. Like there was no ambiguity there. However, I hadn't officially came out to my parents or my family or whatever else, but through my mind, I'm like, well, what if this happens? What if I get cut off? I'm still in school. I'm still in college. I'm dependent on others. Even though I'm working, I'm still dependent for transportation. I don't have that.
Right.
Well, what about health insurance? Well, I don't have my own, and I can't get it through my workplace as of yet. Therefore, I'm still in this portion. And so it became a long haul. It took years before I felt comfortable actually coming out as gay because of the potential repercussions that can come as a result of that from what I've seen on YouTube and on news stories or whatever else that went on. And so it was definitely a longer time period for me coming out as gay from the time that I knew that I was gay to the time that I was said, okay, I'm more okay with coming out, and actually did so.
That's funny because your coming out as gay experience is almost exactly the same as my coming out as atheist experience. As far as like the anxiety, the leading up to it, one of the tragedies of especially more fundamentalist sorts of religions is that you can plant in the mind of a child that if I admit to who I am, my family might stop loving me or my family might abandon me. And so for me, that was with atheism. I grew up in a very, very Mormon home, and I kept it secret for a long time, similarly building up my own life, building up my own resources, because when it did come out, I didn't know if that was going to be the end of anything from my family. I didn't know so it is interesting that in this case, this is so synonymous. The funny thing is now I'm old enough and the world is such a way that right now, if I were to call my parents and be like, yeah, for the last year, I've been seeing what I like about boys more often than girls. And well, I shouldn't say more often, it's about 50-50, but I've been, seen what I like about boys or traditionally gendered people. And it turns out I'm not as straight as I thought. I feel like they've almost in a douchey way, they'd be like, yeah, by the time you came out as atheist, we figured you were banging all kinds of dudes or something. They'd say something. They'd say something stupid and associate things that need not be associated. But yeah, it is so interesting how that experience was very similar. But then you would have had the atheist coming out experience. So actually, let's go there. we'll continue with, so you're having all this anxiety. I remember you saying that you started eating just ramen for 3 months in a row just so you could save up money for a car, right?
Oh boy, yes. So
Yeah.
one of the solutions that I was contemplating was, well, before I come out as gay, I need to have my own transportation. And
Right.
so I started looking around, picking up those little magazines from those busted looking free stations that you find
Yeah.
around town or in downtown areas, and trying to see, well, what do cars cost? Like, I need something used, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And then I finally found a lot that had some fairly low priced cars, like getting towards the 2000 type of area, that weren't complete clunkers.
Right. Weren't
You know,
going to
I,
cost
I
you more.
Right. So I set my target onto, okay, I'm going to save up about $2,500 or something like that. But at that time, I was working on campus for minimum wage, which at that time was what, 5.25 or something like that. And
Probably
I
five.
worked
I remember the 515 days. Yeah, those were hard times.
like it was ridiculous. But I worked there. I worked a second job at a firm, and that wasn't too much better. And so, looking at paying rent and paying other bills in addition to actually saving up for a car during all this time, it became tough. I basically said, okay, I can do ramen.
Right.
It's good. I can change it up. I can put some sausage in there. I can I can do a little something with it. Therefore,
Crack an egg in there, man. That's the
so
thing.
let's see what we can do. And sure enough, I went to, I think it was like Sam's Club or something, and bought just a huge pack of ramen noodles. And I just went through that, alternating different flavors from shrimp, beef, and chicken.
Yeah.
And just kept going.
Luckily, I grew up with a British mother, so I've always had a taste for flavorless food, and so I could have done three months of ramen easy, man. In fact, there probably were times where that was about my my diet, but no, I get the whole, yeah. You plan ahead and then you just live off of the minimum because you gotta prioritize, pick one or the other. That was so. Did that also get you to health insurance too? Because I think that's where the story fell off on Atheist Experience. How did you figure out your health insurance side of things?
That actually came a little bit later, when I actually spoke to my second job to try to see, what options were available for me. Like, what could I do? I was getting up there in age anyway, to where I was going to get kicked off of my mom's plan anyway.
Right.
And so I just kind of started inquiring about that, and went ahead and, got dental insurance because it was nice and cheap. And then it started exploring medical insurance, like the worst one that was available, but I still had some form of health insurance if I needed to go to a doctor,
Right,
or whatever
where your
else.
life won't be
And so-
doomed if you get sick. Yeah.
Right. And tried to be as healthy as possible. I started working out, changing my diet a little after I got my car, and got some insurance on that car, just liability coverage, because just the cheapest thing I can get.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just kind of kept working at that until I kind of got those pieces together. Once I had, my own transport, health insurance, I had a stable position, I had a stable house, paying on my bills, etc. Then I felt more comfortable, approaching that topic and actually coming out officially, putting it on Facebook,
Right.
for example, which makes things all official.
Yeah, exactly. It's Facebook official. Phil Sessions is super gay. July 28th.
But yeah, so when I talked about it on the show, like, there was a lot of lead up to me coming out as gay, and it took a much longer span of time for me to do so. However, the reason that I said that it was indeed harder is because after I came out as gay, a lot of justification about me and my eternal soul and everything was made because, I was still a believer at that time. I was, I was still a Christian, still worship Jesus Christ, et cetera, et cetera. So even though I'm gay, there was still a possibility that I could go to heaven, or that the Lord would make me see the error of my ways, or whatever you want to call it. And so that gave solace to a lot of my family members to be just fine with it, even though they felt some kind of way about it, for sure.
Right. Was that coming from both sides though? I don't mean to use anecdotal evidence, but from everything, from all of my interactions with Southern Baptists, from just being a Mormon, that wouldn't have been what I would have thought any Southern Baptist would have replied with. Basically apologetics to get you through from being gay to back to heaven. So was that both sides of your family you were getting that? Was it because of they loved you, or did you get any of the we love you even though we don't love your sin, or any of that sort of thing?
It was nowhere near as direct as you think it would be. What the biggest reaction was, not talking about it at all.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean, when I used to go to family functions, it is customary that, people of my age group would bring their significant others. So BF or GF or whatever else, they would come and introduce them to the family and, play some cards, eat some food, whatever else, have that good time. However, after that happened, definitely on one side of the family, the F. Kojic side, those questions stopped altogether. And I don't think it's been asked in, oh my goodness, it's been 8 years or so, maybe 7 years, something like that. It's been an extremely long time to where it just stopped. People know, like, I'm super gay. That exudes on my Facebook.
Right.
There's no ambiguity on that side, but those questions don't come up. And so I would love to see it. I look forward in the future, if I actually do, have someone that I'm dating and is serious enough that I actually want to bring them to a family function. Like, what would they say? Like, oh, here's Tom. How is that gonna go, and how are those eyes gonna just light up on that side? And so
but for the moment, you're not getting a lot of, oh, Phil, when you gonna get married? None of that.
No, that. It used to be like, when you like dating someone, when are you gonna bring someone, by their children? All that kind of talk has ceased.
I don't know why the impression of the family member I did was apparently like a Jewish woman from Brooklyn. I don't know why that's what came out, but yeah,
I kind of got that a little bit. I was just like, okay, maybe that's his folks.
That's part of my background for sure. Yeah, father's a New Yorker, mother's a Brit. Lots of Jewish New York. It's like that extended family, the people you call uncle, but you don't really know how they're related to you.
Right.
If
that is a thing. It turns out to be like a family friend. Or something like that. That has happened more often than I ever thought. And you always grow up like, this is Uncle so-and-so. And turns out when you actually start learning about how they're related, it's like they're actually not by blood. It was this friend, and it was like the oldest friend of your grandmama, and blah, blah, blah. And that was the connection. And so I was like, okay, cool.
So one day I'll introduce you to an old Jewish woman from Brooklyn, just so she can ask you, when you gonna settle down? If you ever go check out my channel, you'll see most of my channel there's lots of voices and impressions. That's just one of the things I do.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a show of mine if I didn't bring out Stewie Griffin. All right, moving on.
Oh, dear.